Don't
You
forget,
think he wants
this
peace?
is
You think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
I think he does, yes. I think
Still.
he does. I think because
Even with the
of me,
raining missiles
I
on?
think he really, his dream was to take over the whole country. I think because of me, he's not going to do that.
Do you trust him? Do you trust him?
I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people. I don't trust you. Look at you. You come in all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview.
I am
and then
happy.
you start hitting me with fake questions. You start telling me that a guy whose hand is covered with a tattoo doesn't have the tattoo. You know.
All right.
I mean, you're being dishonest.
No, I'm not.
Let me
No,
just
I'm
tell
not,
you,
sir.
I don't trust a lot of people. But I do think this. I think that let's say he respects me. And I believe because of me, he's not going to take over the whole. But his decision, his choice would be to take over all of Ukraine. Okay. It's a war that never should have happened.
This is my video update on this Wednesday afternoon, April the 30th, coming to you from Paphos, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news here at the Robin Hood pub. The world famous Robin Hood pub in Paphos. Looks pretty cool, I have to admit. All right, let's talk about some news. And things are getting very, very dangerous with India and Pakistan. It looks like we are heading towards some sort of a conflict. The reports are that Modi met with top military command, and he basically told them that they have the freedom to operate in their retaliation against Pakistan. The operational freedom to respond. Full operational freedom to respond is the quote that we're getting from the media covering this development. Basically, Modi told the military command that they can choose a time, targets. It's all under their control. It's their decision as to how, when, in what way they will respond to the terror attack that happened in Kashmir. And of course, if India does strike at Pakistan, you would have to imagine that Pakistan is going to retaliate, and well, then we get into an escalation, a full-on escalation, maybe even a conflict or a war. Let's hope not, but that's where things appear to be heading. What's up, my friend? Hey. So Pakistan, they are saying that India is going to strike in 24 to 36 hours. India planning military strike in 24 to 36 hours. So that's the update there with India and Pakistan. Very, very dangerous situation. Everyone knows that we're talking about nuclear powers, so I don't think I need to say more. An update on the blackouts in Spain and Portugal. After an initial investigation, Spain found out that there was no cyber attack. Russia did not do it after a first assessment of the blackouts that happened in Spain and Portugal. They have come to the conclusion that this was not a cyber attack, that Putin did not turn off the switch to electricity in Spain and Portugal, nor was it Trump. So it wasn't Putin, it wasn't Trump, it wasn't Xi Jinping either. And so I thought I would update everybody on that bit of news. Look at this beautiful church, guys. What a beautiful little church. Wow. Amazing. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Paphos. Paphos, beautiful city. Oh boy. Okay, let's get back to the news. And Elensky put out another one of his TikTok, Instagram video updates. And in this update, the Green Goblin, he basically threatened a strike on Russia for the May 9th Victory Day. That is what Elensky said in his statement, a threat to Russia. A threat not only to Russia and to Putin, but to Xi Jinping, to China, to Fico, to Vucic, to Lula. I believe Modi's going to be there. All of the world leaders that are going to be in Moscow to honor and celebrate the Victory Day. Zelensky is saying that he is going to strike at the Russian capital. That's what he hinted at. Let me find you his exact quote here. Let's see. Elensky openly threatening a Victory Day terrorist attack. And I believe Maria Zakharova has responded to this threat, but let me read you what Elensky said. On Tuesday, Elensky described targeting Russian pressure points to push the country towards diplomacy as he reiterated the ceasefire call. They are now concerned that their parade is in jeopardy, and rightly so, he remarked, referring to the event scheduled for May 9 in Red Square. What they should worry about is that this war continues. Warning? Was this a warning? What do you guys think? As I read you his exact quote, would you say that he is warning about a terror attack? Sounds like it. It does sound like it. Anyway, here is what Zakharova said. Zakharova reacted on social media on Wednesday, asking what kind of truce Kiev can offer, given that the Elensky government is literally planning terrorist attacks on air. She added that boasting about such intentions is exactly what typical terrorists do. That is what Zakharova, that is her reply. That's what she said to this Zelensky statement that he made openly in one of his video addresses. Actually, Elensky, his entire administration, they seem to openly be bragging about, accepting, taking credit for the assassination of the Russian general. I mean, they're more open about the attacks that are taking place in Russia, and they seem to be wanting to take credit for them. It's very, very odd what's happening, but that's Zelensky. He's starting to come out with these statements threatening Russia, taking credit for previous attacks in Russia. Not good. If I was Macron, I would have a sit down with Elensky and tell him to not make these types of statements. But then again, who knows? Maybe Macron is actually telling him to make these types of statements. I don't know. But the logic, according to Elensky, is that he is making these statements in order to push Russia towards diplomacy. I'm going to threaten to attack your celebration, your May 9th Victory Day, in order to get you to the table for diplomacy, to get you to a ceasefire, because he wants an unconditional ceasefire first. I'm going to threaten to attack you in order to get you to agree to an unconditional ceasefire. That's the logic being employed by the Green Goblin. So Peskov, he said that Russia is open to negotiating with Elensky. He said this in a statement to reporters yesterday. Russia, he said, wants negotiations with Kiev, not a ceasefire. What's needed first is negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, and the two countries need to sit down and get to the root causes, Peskov said. And the Russians deal in reality, and the reality is that there is no one at the moment other than Elensky who will be able to negotiate on behalf of Ukraine. So Peskov said that even though we have problems with Elensky's legitimacy, we'll sit down with him. We will talk with him. Perhaps a bit of a change of direction from Russia. Perhaps they're moving a little bit away from saying he's illegitimate and there's no way we're going to be able to negotiate with him because he doesn't have any real power if he does sign something. And now they're saying, you know what? He's the only one in Ukraine at the moment who can negotiate, the only one in power right now. And so we're going to have to accept the fact that he's the guy that we're going to have to deal with. Anyway, that's what Peskov said. Russia ready to overlook Elensky's illegitimacy. Resuming direct negotiations with Kiev is a primary priority for Moscow, according to spokesman Dmitry Peskov. Lavrov was at the BRICS event in Brazil, and he said that what is needed right now is direct talks between Russia and Ukraine. None of this ceasefire talk. What is needed is direct negotiations between the two countries. And Lavrov, he said that, you know what? The 72-hour ceasefire that Putin called for Victory Day from May 8th to May 10th is the perfect opportunity for the Elensky regime to agree to negotiations with us. So now we are starting to understand what this ceasefire is about. Yes, it is about it's for humanitarian reasons, as Putin said. I'm sure it's for political, diplomatic reasons, because you're going to have many world leaders in Moscow. But it does look like this ceasefire was called by Putin in order to expose the Elensky regime and to basically say, you know what, there's a 3-day window. Kiev should agree to this ceasefire. They should agree to the ceasefire, according to Lavrov, and they should take the opportunity to agree to negotiations, which Lavrov said, as Peskov said, should address the root causes of the conflict. And if they don't agree to a ceasefire over Victory Day, and if they don't agree to sit down with Russia, well, then that shows that Ukraine is not serious about resolving the conflict. It does feel like this is a type of maybe a final offer from Russia to Elensky, from Putin to Elensky. You have a 3-day window. Agree to negotiate. forget about this unconditional ceasefire stuff. We're never going to agree to that. Why would the side that's winning agree to an unconditional ceasefire? Actually, Lavrov even said it in his statement from Brazil. Lavrov, he said that Ukraine wants an unconditional ceasefire, and they keep on going on and on about an unconditional ceasefire because Lavrov said that Ukrainian troops were retreating. That's a quote from Lavrov. Elensky was pushing for an immediate ceasefire because Ukrainian troops were retreating, Lavrov added. So Russia's not going to agree to this, that's obvious. But what they are pushing for is bilateral talks, Russia and Ukraine. And it looks like the Trump administration is starting to move towards Russia's position. Bloomberg, they put out an article with the title, Putin is said to keep demanding Ukraine land despite US pressure. And in this article, Bloomberg says that according to their sources, and Bloomberg sources are always correct, those Bloomberg sources, but they say that Witkoff, when he was in Moscow last week, he basically went there to try and get one last time, to try and get Putin to agree to Trump's peace plan. The Kellogg plan, Kellogg minus peace plan. Mostly Kellogg, a little bit of Witkoff. I've gone over the plan. Alexander has gone over the plan in detail. We've talked about it on the Duran multiple times, but Witkoff was in Moscow. He wanted to give it one last go to try and convince Putin to agree to the peace plan and to the ceasefire and all of that stuff. And Putin, according to Bloomberg and their sources, Putin said, "Niet. Nope. No way. Not going to happen. Our minimum, according to the sources from Bloomberg, our minimum ask in order to get to some sort of a ceasefire, our minimum ask would be that Ukraine recognize the 4 territories and Crimea and leave the 4 territories and Crimea as part of the Russian Federation in their entirety. Kherson, Zaporozhye, Lugansk, Donetsk, in their entirety, Ukraine must go, and it must be recognized that those 4 territories and Crimea are part of the Russian Federation." That is what Bloomberg reported. People familiar with the process told Bloomberg on Tuesday that Putin insisted any viable peace deal must include formal recognition of the 4 former Ukrainian regions that joined Russia after a referendum in 2022. Moscow has long said it is open to negotiations, but maintains that the status of Crimea, which joined Russia in 2014, and the 4 other regions is not up for discussion. Moscow insists that recognition of the reality on the ground is vital for a lasting peace. The reality on the ground. So Putin held firm. He said to Witkoff, nope, not going to agree to the Kellogg-Trump peace plan. Peace plan, not going to agree to it. Let's talk about the territories first. Or let's agree on the territories, or you get Ukraine to agree on the territories, then come back and we can talk. And now it looks like Russia has said, before we even talk about ceasefires, let's sit down with Ukraine, Russia and Ukraine. Let's sit down together. Excellent play there from Russia. They kind of shifted the narrative. They politely said no to Witkoff. They're still open to normalization of relations with the United States, but they said no to the Kellogg plan. They said no to the ceasefire, and then they shifted to bilateral talks, and they called the 3-day ceasefire, and they're telling Elensky, here's your chance. Forget unconditional stuff. Let's sit down together. We have 3 days. Say yes. If you don't say yes, then we'll see. If he doesn't say yes, and he's not going to say yes. I think we all understand that Elensky is not going to say yes. But Trump is now starting to talk about Ukraine and Russia sitting at the table together. Even Trump is starting now to move towards Russia's position. At least that's how it looks. What else did Lavrov say when he was in Brazil? The ceasefire announcement stated that the Russian side reiterates its willingness to enter peace talks without preconditions with a view to eliminating the root causes behind the Ukraine crisis and establishing constructive interaction with international partners. A 30-day ceasefire in this situation is considered a precondition that will be used to further support the Kiev regime and strengthen its military capabilities. So Lavrov said the 3-day ceasefire that Putin announced is a way to enter into peace talks. This is your chance to enter into peace talks. Your 30-day unconditional ceasefire is a precondition, and we're not going to agree to any type of talks with preconditions. We want talks without preconditions, and you have 3 days of a ceasefire to agree to talks without any preconditions. That is Lavrov's statement. I think I'm summarizing that correct. Anyway, that's Lavrov, that's Bloomberg. Well, let's talk about Trump. So Trump gave the interview to The Atlantic, which I talked about yesterday in my video update. The invincible, according to The Atlantic. Trump is invincible. I'm invincible. According to the Trump-friendly, the Trump-friendly Atlantic, right? Anyway, let's try to get to the beach. Let's see how can I get to the beach? I think if I go this way and down, there's an entrance to the beach area. So in the interview with The Atlantic, Trump said that I think that that Ukraine, the nation of Ukraine, will be crushed very shortly. That is what Trump told The Atlantic. He said he's saving Ukraine. That's basically what he said in the interview. He's saving Ukraine because very shortly Russia's winning this war and Ukraine will be lost. You know, he's not incorrect, to be fair to Trump. He is right. If he manages to get some sort of talks or negotiations going, if he can convince Ukraine to agree to sit down with Russia, he does save Ukraine. There will be a Ukraine that will exist without the 4 territories and Crimea, and it will be a neutral Ukraine, never to get into NATO, and a Ukraine not allowed to build up its military, but it will exist. Trump will have saved the country. This is true. If Ukraine decides to follow Macron and Stammer's advice and Ursula's advice, and it's not gonna be good for Ukraine. The president of Finland, Alexander Stubb, I think he gave an interview the other day, I think to the Washington Post or the New York Times, and he's talking about escalation as well. Putin must be defeated. He must be defeated. Alexander Stubb, he said he's building up Finland to be strong enough to take on Russia. All right. Trump also gave an interview to ABC News. He's giving a lot of interviews because of the 100 days in office, and it was a good interview from ABC News because Trump said some pretty funny stuff. He blasted ABC News for covering up Biden's mental state. He said that directly to ABC News. He said, "Look, Biden, he was mashed potatoes in the head. I knew it. Everyone knew it in DC. The media knew it. ABC News knew it." And he said, "You guys covered it up." He said it right to the ABC News reporter. Man, that was good. That was funny. And he was asked about Ukraine. I'll talk about what he said about Ukraine, and the reporter asked him about Ukraine, and Trump said that Russia's going to take all of Ukraine if we don't get a deal. And if Trump wasn't president, then what Putin wants is to take all of Ukraine. He said that. I don't know if that's true. Russia wants to take all of Ukraine, but Russia put out a deal on the table. You know, the territory stuff has been around since June 2024. The U.S. media, the collective West media, and the Trump administration, they make it as if this territory stuff is something new. It's been around for almost a year. Putin's terms have been around for almost a year now. June 2024. And all of a sudden, Bloomberg and all of these outlets make it as if these terms, these four territories just kind of came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, Putin is talking about Kherson and Zaporozhye and the entirety of these regions. It's been out there for a year, man. Oh, boy. So, let's see. Yeah, so Trump said that if he wasn't president, then Putin would take all of Ukraine because that's what he wants. But he said that Putin respects me, he gets along with Putin, and he's trying to work out a deal. He's trying to work out some sort of a solution to Project Ukraine. And then the reporter asked Trump, do you trust Putin? All the reporters, they love that question. Do you trust Putin? A better question would be, why should Putin trust the United States? You guys waged a war against us. That's what Russia should say. You guys tried to get regime change. You tried to overthrow our government. You tried to pillage and plunder our country. You have events and conferences in Brussels about breaking up Russia, balkanizing Russia, and breaking it up into 6 different pieces. You've even given the different pieces of Russia. If you were to break it up, you've even given them names, and you've named the countries that they would become. Why should we trust you? You continue to supply weapons and money to the Green Goblin. You have CIA facilities all around Ukraine. Why should we trust you? You broke the Minsk I, you broke the Minsk II. Boris Johnson flew into Kiev on March 2022, and he broke that agreement. But they always ask, should you trust Putin? It's madness, man. Anyway, Trump's response was good. I think Trump's response was great. I believe he said to the reporter, I don't trust you. You're asking me if I should trust Putin. I don't even trust you, man. Which I think was a good way to respond without making it look like he's a fan of Putin, because if Trump says anything nice about Putin, then we're going to get Russiagate 3.0 or Russiagate 4.0 or whatever number we're on with Russiagate. So he can't really say that. He can't say I trust Putin, obviously. But he deflected nicely on that one. He says, I can't even trust you, man. I don't even trust you, Mr. ABC News reporter. So I thought that was a good response. Anyway, that was the ABC News interview with the U.S. president. I think that's everything. I can do a clown world. Today's video will be kind of short. So Trump, I think it was the Atlantic interview, I think he talked about the Pope, and he made a joke. He actually said it to reporters as well. Reporters asked him yesterday as well, do you think you should become the Pope? Because he joked about it. I believe it was in the Atlantic interview. He joked about how he would make a great Pope. Perhaps not an appropriate joke, to be quite honest. Perhaps something that he shouldn't joke about, given the Pope passing away so recently. But anyway, Trump said it. He said, I would make a great Pope, something like that. And the media asked him, would you make a great Pope? And it's obvious Trump's joking when he responded to the media. But people are upset, and they're saying that Trump wants to become the Pope now, which he doesn't. But anyway, they're saying that Trump wants to be the Pope. And that's not the clown world. That's not the clown world. I think he probably should not have said that, given the fact that the Pope did pass away recently. But the clown world in all of this goes to Sir Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham, yeah. Because Lindsey Graham thought it would be a good idea to post on X, his official account on X. This is what Lindsey Graham wrote. I was excited to hear that President Trump is open to the idea of being the next Pope. This would truly be a dark horse candidate, but I would ask the papal conclave and Catholic faithful to keep an open mind about this possibility. The first Pope, U.S. President combination has many upsides. Watching for white smoke. Is Graham trolling or joking here? Or is he serious? I don't know. I really don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know. If he's serious, then yeah, this is a pretty epic clown world. If he's trolling, then, you know, Lindsay's got a sense of humor, I guess. I don't know what else to say, man. Oh boy, I will wrap up the video there. theduran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop. Pick up some merch, like what I'm wearing in this video update. 15% off, free shipping, all kinds of good deals on the Duran shop website. Take care.